I have to say that I've always known the presence of the Lord all my life. I grew up in a household where I had a grandmother that prayed constantly. I mean, she lived what she believed. And, in my house growing up, it was, church was everything. If you didn't go to church on Sundays, you didn't do anything else the rest of the week. That was just how it went. My mom made sure we were all very active in church, and pretty much any time the doors opened, we were there. Life was, I guess, some of the typical growing up through the teenage years, teenage stuff. You battle with the popularity, you battle with doing what's right, and sometimes the good doesn't always win in your life, but thank God that He watches over us when we do make those choices that are not the right choice. I would really have to say that my grandmother had the biggest impact on me as far as leading me to Christ. I spent a lot of time with her in the preschool years before I started school. And oddly enough, I can still remember a lot of those times that I had with her, a lot of the things that she talked about, things that she shared. And so I looked up to her. I watched the things that she did. I watched her interaction with people. I watched her prayer life. All that was on display all the time. She didn't hide that. And I'm thankful for that because I think that's what had the biggest impact on me is her example. Throughout the years, I was able to see a lot of examples of people living a life for Christ and people living a life for the world. And that helped me to shape my life, to make some decisions. In the church that I grew up in, it was, of course, the invitation was there every Sunday, but there was always a big deal about revival, times of revival. And generally, if there was a revival, all the kids that weren't saved, we were there. We were there seeking out the Lord. And some of my siblings and cousins, they were getting up, they were getting saved. And, I wondered about it because I didn't want it to be that I was coming out front because this is what everybody told me I should do. I wanted to come out front when it was time that I knew that I truly had a relationship with the Lord. And that kind of stood out. At one revival in particular, there was a young lady that was probably in her mid to late 20s. And she stood up one night and at the altar call, and she gave the testimony that she had been baptized when she was very young, but she didn't truly understand what she was doing. She was doing that because that was what she was told she should do. And so she wanted to come back, in her words, she wanted to come back and do it right. And she was saved. And that really resonated with me because at that point I was starting to get a little bit older and I kind of felt guilty because I hadn't come forward already. But that kind of reinforced in my heart and in my mind that, when you do this, it needs to be right. It's not because that's what everybody says you should do. It's because you truly have a relationship with the Lord. And so throughout those years, a lot of my early years, I battled with a commitment to the Lord and my personal wanting to hold on to the ways of the world, things that I enjoyed. And so I battled with those things. And during that time, I still had the influence of people all around me that were living lives dedicated to Christ, as well as the people that weren't. I have to say that, I always believed in God. I always believed in His Son. I always believed that He died for our sins. But I guess it was just a matter of me actually surrendering to Him, giving up my grip on the world and actually surrendering to the Lord. And I would say that reality kind of sank in mid-20s or so when I was just, I knew something was missing from my life, but I did all I could to find what would fill that void. And, I sought out other people what could fill this void, and it just, it was just apparent to me as one night it was almost as if it just smacked me in the face. I was reflecting. I remember it was actually a Friday night. I didn't have to work. I was home. And, I was content with being at home that night and not doing anything. And the Lord began to speak to me and talk to me about, he kind of let me reflect on some things that I had gone through. And then I could see his presence there. And just as clear as anyone sitting here next to me talking, he said to me, it's time to stop running. And at that point, I knew it was time to surrender. I can't explain the feeling of peace and completeness that I experienced at that moment. Since that moment, lots of things have changed. There were things that I thought I had to hold on to. Those things don't matter anymore. My eyes have been just open to so many new things, even including, just my Bible reading, for instance. It's, reading it, it's like I'm transported there. It's a totally different understanding because I'm seeking the understanding that he would have me to have of his word. It has changed my life so much. I couldn't imagine being a parent right now without knowing the Lord. The Lord has shown me so much through being a parent, not only about my kids, but about myself as well. I can't say that I don't regret a bit of my journey with the Lord. I cherish every minute of it. I look forward to all that has to come. It makes me feel good sometimes to run into an old friend or somebody I hadn't seen in a long time. And they say to me, man, you're not the guy you used to be. In some ways you are, but you're just not the guy you used to be. You're different, but it's different in a good way. And in fact, I was able to lead a friend to the Lord in that same manner. He said to me, we've known each other for a long time. And I'm at a point in my life where I need something different. He said, I see the difference in your life and I want what you've got. And so, without the experience myself, without knowing the Lord and knowing his presence, I don't know that I'd have been able to walk him through that. And it's been just so rewarding. I've gone places I never thought I would go. I've faced challenges I've never thought I would face in my life, but I know it's the Lord that brought me through those things. And not only that, he used those things or those experiences to help someone else through me. It's not me that's doing it, it's the Lord that's doing it.